Meeting of February 25th to order. Can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Palafis?
Present.
Trustee Stanton?
Present.
Trustee Gata?
Present.
Trustee Arnett?
Present.
Trustee Mills?
Present.
Trustee Newell?
Present.
Mayor McLeod?
Present. Everybody please rise. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Trustee Palafis? Thank you, Trustee Palafis.
Welcome.
For the edification of our audience, this meeting is being telecast live and will be shown on our cable channel throughout the week. We got the President's Report. We've got one appointment, and that's Susan Cooper to the Cultural Awareness Commission. Chair would accept a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have a motion carried. On Wednesday, February 27th, we have Wine Wednesday at the Assembly American Bar and Grill from 5:30 to 7:30. Restaurants at Barrington and Hassel Road at 2750 West Hassel Road. We had a few things going on in the past week. On Wednesday, the 20th, I participated in the Legislative Committee meeting of the Northwest Municipal Conference, and also the National League of Cities New Emerging Technologies Working Group. It was our initial conference call on that. On the 21st, I called into the Transportation Committee meeting of the Northwest Municipal Conference. And on Friday, we did the taping for the State of the Village, which will take place on Wednesday at the Sears Center Arena at 8 o'clock. So I know we'll see some of you out there. And on Sunday, we had an Eagle Court of Honor at St. Hubert that several of us, that Trustee Newell and Trustee Arnett were able to get to. And this morning, I participated in National League of Cities Transportation Infrastructure call. And that's all I have for right now. We'll move on to the village manager's report. You had a request of the board, Mr. Manager?
Yes, sir. The village has an opportunity to be the host of the Spring Awakening Festival out in Prairie Stone on the property owned by the village at the Sears Center Arena and the lots, as well as the property that was the Jam property, that was that the board's aware of. It's the 10 acres immediately west of the west lot. To do that, the two things would have to happen. The board would need to direct the arena general manager to negotiate and execute a contract with Lifestyle React Presents to hold the festival using the Sears Center properties, and direct me to negotiate and execute a special events permit with the same group to hold the Spring Awakening Festival.
For the edification of people who are over 30, what is the Spring Awakening? Does Ben know?
It is a concert festival that features what's called EDM, electronic dance music. It is basically DJs that spin electronic music, although it can be groups that use, based upon what my 17-year-old daughter told me, synthesizers and other electronic means of producing music. And they dance an awful lot and jump up and down an awful lot. This same festival has been held in Chicago the last 8 years. It's been successful. Their clientele is mostly suburban kids who then have to travel downtown. They'd like to try it, and to actually hold it in the suburbs where most of the clientele comes from. There's obviously major financial benefits to the village to do so, and this is one of the things that Mr. Gibbs and others have been talking about to see really where we could take entertainment in the entertainment area.
Okay, well, it's certainly worth giving it a try, that's for sure. Trustee Mills?
Will they have some type of curfew hours on this too?
Yes, ma'am. They actually have indicated that everything will be done at 10 each night on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night.
And will we require, because sometimes acts can go longer, we all are aware of that.
They
have
do
to
a
have
30-minute warning
Okay.
to the acts, and they shut them down.
Okay, I was going to say otherwise,
In the two preliminary meetings we've had with them, they are very clear about, given the fact that their clientele is underage, up through of age and up to they say their clientele's 16 to 34, 35. It's a wide range that they are very keen on making sure those rules are met.
Okay, and I'm sure that any alcoholic beverages, there would be
Right.
coverage for that, so there's no underage drinking. Are they going to look into doing any type of public transportation?
They've indicated that they will be looking at arranging shuttles from train stations and so forth. They fully expect that Uber or Lyft will be the most popular transportation method, given that we don't have a train station proximate to the arena. But those are also details, Trustee Mills, that will be fully fleshed out as part of our permit.
Okay, great. Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Any further questions? Trustee Palafis.
So do you want a recommendation for this to go to one of the committees as a next step?
No, we really need to get moving with the special events permits are always processed administratively. Given the size of this one and the financial realities of this one, we thought it more prudent to let the board be aware of it up front, and that we would then go through the process. If we run into roadblocks or snags, we'll definitely be back in front of a committee, probably the finance committee, since the rental contract will be with the arena. But given the conversations we've had with them, they are very experienced. Their insurance limits are very high. They have dedicated professionals that deal with issues of liquor licensing. They hire 2 to 3 different security firms just to make sure they have the appropriate numbers of security. They have relationships with EMS providers for medical, on-scene medical. Both chiefs were present at the meetings with them, and we're going to work out the details. We feel comfortable where we are at this part. Everybody so far recognizes and believes that our biggest areas of a concern are going to be traffic, transportation, and parking. It's going to be incumbent upon the organizers to make relationships with other businesses in Prairie Stone and including Life Changers Church across Beverly Road to make sure they have access to parking lot. If they don't firm up the parking, then this festival could be in jeopardy. Those are our biggest concerns at this point.
So then you feel you have what you need to proceed?
I do.
Okay.
Okay, someone want to make a motion?
Well, I'll make a motion that you, staff proceeds under the direction of the board to,
Well, here's the wording.
Yeah, right here.
Move to direct the arena general manager to negotiate and execute a
there you go.
contract with Lifestyle React Presence to hold the Spring Awakening Festival using the Sears Center properties and direct the village manager to negotiate and execute a special events permit with Lifestyle React Presence to hold the Spring Awakening Festival. Presents, sorry.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have a motion carried.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay, let's move on to Planning and Zoning Commission report. We dragged you back here again this Monday, Chairman Combs. How about that?
Microphone.
Is the mic on or?
It says it's on, so it must be the base of that. Well, it sounds like it. Try it.
Hit the button on the bottom. Okay.
That's good.
Okay. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended for approval a request by Deshaw BSM LLC owner for a preliminary and final plat of re-subdivision of Barrington Square re-subdivision number 3, located at 2250 to 2360 West Higgins Road with one condition. Vote was 9 ayes, 2 absent.
Chair would accept a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Were all the issues that were raised last week, have they all been resolved on all these matters?
Yes, sir. And as a matter of fact, they were resolved at that time. We just didn't have the ability to drag it out, but things were all, they're the way they should be.
Okay. There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, can you pull the board, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Palafis.
Aye.
Trustee Stanton.
Aye.
Trustee Gata.
Aye.
Trustee Arnett.
Aye.
Trustee Mills.
Aye.
Trustee Newell.
Aye.
Mayor McLeod.
Aye, motion carried.
Planning and Zoning Commission recommended for approval a request by DeShow BSM LLC owner for preliminary and final site plan amendment for parking lot and site changes at 2250 to 2360 West Higgins Road, Barrington Square Town Center, with 5 conditions. Vote was 9 ayes, 2 absent.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any just trustee Mills?
I'm not sure if it should go into this motion or the next, but some questions on the design of the parking in that. My question had to do with, I did not see on the diagrams that we had, if they have an area where the cars are going through the drive-through, if they have to wait. You know how you have specific parking stalls for, so they're not,
You mean the reserved ones?
yeah, well, for coming through drive-through. And sometimes the order takes longer. It might be up to the petitioner to come forward on that.
Right, I don't remember seeing anything on the plans on that.
No, I don't see anything on the plan, and that's what I just want to make sure is on the
Can you
record.
come on up and answer the question?
It's technically for the next one.
Okay, it should be the next one?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll get it all ready now.
Yeah. You just identify yourselves to the record, gentlemen.
Hi, I'm John Haig, architect, Haig Architecture, 418 Clinton Place, River Forest, Illinois. Sorry, Jack.
I'm John Sagalis with the Bona Company, 6801 West Roosevelt Road in Berwyn.
Thank you.
Okay, you understand what I'm saying? You know, for when the cars are going through the drive-through, and sometimes one order might take longer than the 3 behind him. So normally now you have them pull up and wait along the side of the building.
Right.
I did not see where you would have an opportunity, if you have any specific stalls that would be around the side so other people can get by while they're taking, because you hate to have your lineup get backed up, unfortunately, like other area restaurants do.
Right, there are 3, so the way that we've actually redesigned the sites, you know, for this one and some other ones is that we have 3 post-stacking spaces.
Okay.
And they're kind of, if you look on the site plan, they align with 72.
Okay.
They're in the front, there's a double wide driveway, it's a 24-foot driveway. And then that actually allows, there's a service door out there as well, so,
Okay.
you know, that takes place. So, yeah, there's three additional spots after the drive-through window.
All right, I'll wait for the other motion then, ask my other questions. Thank you.
Mr. Norris, did you have something you wanted to add?
that was it, thank you.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Seeing none, can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Palafis.
Aye.
Trustee Stanton.
Aye.
Trustee Gata.
Aye.
Trustee Arnett.
Aye.
Trustee Mills.
Aye.
Trustee Newell.
Aye.
Mayor McLeod.
Aye, motion carried.
Planning and Zoning Commission recommended for approval a request by DeShow BSM LLC owner and Buena Beef applicant of a preliminary and final site plan for a restaurant on a newly proposed Lot 4 in Barrington Square re-subdivision number 3 located 2250 2360 West Higgins Road with 3 conditions. The vote was 9 ayes, 2 absent.
Chair would accept a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
There's a motion, there's a second. Any questions on this item? Trustee Mills?
Yeah, again, if the architect could come back up.
You're getting your steps in tonight, sir.
Yeah. Is there going to be a change, and I think I read in part of the packet somewhere, there would be some change in the access aisle that goes from the main road in from Higgins? That would be to the north of the restaurant?
Well, that whole drive is changed.
It's gonna
correct.
be
There's a whole-
changed again?
The geometry has changed from what it is today. Yeah, the whole site plan. And I think originally, to the west, the site actually gets a little smaller. You know, so more property came on where Bona is. It allows us to.
Right, but what I'm talking about is the thoroughfare that would go between Bona and the rest of the parking lot?
Oh, yeah, that geometry changed, yeah, to align with the other drive that's to the west.
So it's going to back up to the drive that's over here again?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you.
so it aligns, right.
That's such a waste the way I have it right now.
Right.
So, okay. And will the restaurant, now, I know you're trying to keep both the old restaurant open while you're building the new one.
Right.
Is there going to be a time frame there that you will need to close down Bona?
I believe, I know John could probably answer, but there's going to be a little gap in there for sure that's going to
Any
have to close.
idea about how long you think it might be? And the second question of that would be, when do you expect it to be built?
We're anticipating the new construction for the new restaurant building to take about 4 months. At that time, the existing restaurant would close. We would have to demolish it and then do all the site work and so forth, which would be 6 to 8 weeks. So the entire time frame, we're looking at 6 months
Okay,
until the new restaurant will be open.
okay.
And what the purpose of keeping the existing restaurant is, one, to keep the revenue, but also to maintain the current staff as long as possible. And then to relocate some of the existing kitchen equipment into the new restaurant.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
It's going to be a long 2 months for some people.
Yeah.
Trustee Palafis.
I was going to say, I don't know if I could vote for it now. You're going to be closed for 6 months.
Food truck.
I have to drive to Itasca. That's the next closest one. There's no way you can do the drive-through only? Parking lot for a drive-through.
Yeah.
You know, it's,
Are you going through withdrawal?
let's
already?
compromise here. I mean, you
Maybe
know,
they can just deliver it to your house.
Uber Eats. There you go. No, I'm being serious. You can't even. Could you do it just a drive-through option?
You could.
You got to move the kitchen equipment.
But it's part of
That
the
takes a
equipment.
day. You know.
Again, there would be a period of time we're hoping it's to a minimum, but the first 4 months while the new building is being constructed, the existing would be fully operational. And then would have to, again, demo the existing building to do the underground utilities and new concrete curbs, asphalt paving, site lighting, and so forth. So it'd just be during that time that the existing restaurant would be unavailable.
Okay.
So get your fill while you can, Gary.
Yeah, put it in the freezer.
I guess.
Is that all, Trustee Palafis?
For now, yeah.
Trustee Mills.
Have you done this, I know you've opened some new places recently, and this is your new prototype. Have you actually done it where you've had, put up a new building next to where an old one was?
I don't believe we have. That's always been on a new site. John, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I've had other projects that we've done similar things, but not Bona. We haven't done this specifically in any other sites.
Well, I hope you have a better builder than some of them that recently built in town. They took a little longer. No, that's it. We're just, when do you think you'll be starting construction, once approved?
We're hoping to submit the drawings for a building permit this week, and we're taking bids now for the work, and we're hoping to start the new construction once the weather breaks. We're thinking maybe somewhere around April 15th to
Okay.
April 30th, somewhere in that timeframe.
Uh-huh.
I'd like to start as soon as
Probably more
possible.
winters when you're going to close down then, and, okay, we'll put up with it. Thank you.
Any other questions from anybody? Seeing none, can you pull the board, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried.
Planning and Zoning Commission recommended for approval a request by Deshaw BSM LLC owner of a master sign plan amendment for the property located at 2552 West Higgins Road in Barrington Square Town Center, dated February 6, 2019. Vote was 9 ayes, 2 absent.
Chair will accept a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
There's a motion, there's a second. Any questions on this item? No questions? Can you pull the board, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried. Thank you, Chairperson Coombs.
Thank you.
Chair to accept a motion to adjourn the board
So
meeting.
moved.
I'll second.
Motion to second, any discussion? See none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it, motion carried. We are adjourned. Here, Bev.
See you, Bev.
Good night, Bev.
Wanna stick around and just watch us?
Wait, let me think a minute.
Gotta try to
I stole your stuff.
get home before we're.
Just slide them underneath the gate.
Good luck. Night, Bev.
You ready? You good?
I think so.
I'd like to call to order the Finance Committee this evening, February 25th. Could I have a roll call, please?
Chairperson Palafis,
Present.
Vice Chairperson Newell,
Present.
Trustee Gata,
Present.
Trustee Mills,
Present.
Trustee Stanton.
Present.
Trustee Arnett,
Present.
Mayor McLeod.
Present.
And we have a quorum, thank you. We are going to ask for an approval of the minutes, a motion and a second for January 28th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, any questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. 2 items under new business. The first is a discussion regarding use of Village Hall meeting rooms.
Where'd this come from?
Yeah.
This came from staff because back in 2009, when the board approved the policy for renting the building, the rooms in this building, there was discussion of a fee to be charged, and the fee to be charged at that time was $75. And that evolved into really just a fee that was charged for after-hours events. When we wouldn't normally have a public works employee here, in essence, to pay the overtime to have someone here. What we have found is that the rooms have become extremely popular, and popular beyond what we thought they would be, especially for private parties, birthdays, anniversaries, you name it. And we're starting, have seen, but not only at those, but at other events through associations and things where they bring food in and the like, that we have had significant spills, walls, on tables, chairs, actually things splashed up onto the ceilings. And in keeping with what some other communities do, we're looking at whether or not there shouldn't be a hierarchy of use, where the fees actually changed also based upon that hierarchy choose, and we start putting some money aside to replace carpet when we're going to, it's because it's going to have to be replaced. It's going on 10 years old, and so forth. Tables, chairs, we provide those for people. It's not like they have to go to a rental company and rent them to use the rooms. They're just here, and they're tables and chairs that are used for village events, meetings, functions, boards and commissions, meetings and functions. And so we're recommending both a $25 an hour and a $50 an hour charge, depending on the type of group, with private parties obviously paying the larger amount. Those are suggested, they can be changed, and of course the committee has the right to reject this in its entirety. But we do believe that the village will be having to expend some significant dollars on carpet and such in the not-too-distant future.
What about not-for-profit groups?
So not-for-profit groups, we're showing at $25 per hour. If that could be changed. I mean, we debated the issue of if they're not-for-profit that provides direct service to the village or they're located in the village, that there would be no charge. But that's kind of a slippery slope on how you differentiate between not-for-profits. But again, it's up to the board. The ones our largest groups are either private parties or, frankly, some of the religious groups, but those groups also serve food. And they're usually the biggest cleanups. We've had bathrooms absolutely obliterated as well. So, and I'm trying to be nice. So we can do whatever the group wants to do.
Trustee Mills?
Truthfully, I didn't realize we weren't charging
Right.
on these parties. I mean, rather than an hourly rate, why don't we just do a set fee of maybe, so you start up that fund. And truthfully, if they leave a mess, then you have a chargeback fee for them the additional cleaning that needs to be done.
The problem is if you don't get a deposit, some of the groups we may never see again.
Then you get a deposit. I mean, speaking as someone who does that on a
The clubhouse.
private matter, and, that's what we do. You have to get a security deposit up front, and then you have a small fee for use, but if there's any problems, you charge them back for it to cover the cost of the cleaning or the damages, stuff like that. That might be a way to start out, at least to start a little fund, so we have some money there. And that's basically what we do with our clubhouse, is we put that money into a separate fund, and that pays for decorating and things.
But you're suggesting a deposit and a charge?
The charge would come out of the
Deposit would be
deposit.
refundable?
Yeah, the deposit,
Okay,
you could
okay.
take the charges out of the deposit as long as it covers. If they owe more than that, then they don't get the deposit back, and they're charged for the remainder.
Okay. We can come back with something along
And I
those lines.
think that's a little bit.
If that's what the committee is.
That's just my idea, okay? But I mean, I think we need to do something we have to cover ourselves on this.
Trustee Gata?
I know at Haverford, we do exactly what you're saying on that. We do have a monthly, hourly charge, but we have a deposit, and the deposit is exactly what you're saying as far as if they damage anything. And we have somebody that goes in to check just to make sure, and if everything is okay, then actually we don't cash the check, right?
You.
But we don't cash the check, then we just give it back to the individual. But absolutely, actually, we have no choice, and I would imagine where you are also, that you have no choice but to charge that, because what you were saying, Mr. Norris, as far as people spilling things, which happens, and I don't know about the ceilings, but yes, yeah, correct. But I would say that we would need to something like that to help cover expenses.
You know, you may want to look at it where it's one fee if it's just strictly the use, maybe coffee or drinks, but if they actually are serving food, it could be a slightly higher charge.
I would like not to get too
Okay.
complicated, because to be honest, sometimes we aren't told
No, I
fully.
know. Trust me, I know.
Trustee Stanton?
See, I agree with Mr. Norris. I'd just as soon have fees, but to be honest with you, I'd raise them even higher. I'd have $75 fees and then $50 fees for the other group, rather than 50 and 25
You talking hourly?
hourly.
I think
And to be honest with you, I'd just as soon not have anybody in this building other
Well-
than what we do.
I'm aligned to that. I think, why run it at all? Administratively, it sounds like a lot of work for somebody. So why run them at all? Unless it's a village-sanctioned commission or, some type of non-for-profit that's attached to one of those.
As you said, it's a people's building.
But again, that's just, well, all the others that you gave comps are
Right.
people's buildings too.
True.
But the people are trashing it. So, it's either administratively, we put in some higher cost structures to protect our financial investment of the remodeling of this building, or we don't rent them.
A lot of the groups do pretty good work.
Yeah.
That benefits the community. That's the only thing I would say. It's really the private parties that staff is, and unfortunately, the religious groups that are the ones that are higher maintenance, more administrative management work, if you will. If you want, we can come back with fees and a deposit as well, and maybe not differentiate the way we have the categories now, but do it more as a government nonprofit, as potentially a free, and then private as something totally by itself.
I don't agree with being free.
Okay,
Not at all.
I think there should always be a charge.
okay.
I agree.
Don't we do something with Sunderledge? Isn't there a fee
We do,
for
and
that?
we do have a small deposit for Sunderledge.
And is there a charge then that they pay?
Yes, it's very cheap. I want to say it's $25
Okay.
just for the use,
But that's-
period, but not per hour.
Yeah, but at least that's something there, and I
Right.
think we need to model ourselves after that.
But who cleans that building and maintains it if there's spills or all the things you just
Public
mentioned?
Works does the minimal review and goes through the building.
So it's the same thing. It's the same people.
It is.
Maybe we should do it across the board for both.
Oh, yeah. What you do with one? you gotta do
Sunderledge
with
is
the
not
other.
used nearly as much as this building.
It would be if we raised the rates here. It would be the place, it's just follow the money.
It can't hold that many people.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Got some-
Oh, sorry, trustee New.
I just had a question that, okay, there was something about if there was a cancellation, they have to call like 24 hours in advance or something. So if they put a deposit down and they don't call, do we keep the deposit? Because the room technically could have really been rented to someone else
Right,
if they
and-
haven't called.
Right, and that's why the current language is in there the way it is, but if we had a deposit and a fee, I would, we haven't written that part yet, since we don't have a deposit now, but I would probably say that the deposit would not be refundable.
Correct, correct. And that's what I was just going to say, because one of the other villages, they said that they charge a $50 fee that is not refundable, so that's all I had. to
Either
say.
that or you would have a late cancellation fee, which would equal what they would have to pay for the hours they would have rented it for.
Okay.
Or if it's an ample cancellation, say like 30 days or something, I don't know how far in advance,
Right.
you do at least put through a clerical fee or something on it.
I think you should just send them your rental policy from your day job. Mayor?
Yeah, I'd prefer not to charge the not-for-profits if they're doing it during the regular hours when we have people here. 'Cause a lot of them do a lot of good work in the community.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'll-
Trustee Gata, that's something.
Oh, sorry, trustee Gainer.
I was thinking that I kind of agree with you were just saying. I think it's easier, wiser, safer, and better maybe if we just don't rent it out to any outside concerns whatsoever. And if anything pertaining with the village, as far as the different committees that have functions, yes, but other than that, just at this point, just to say no. Just my opinion.
So as a matter of an example, the Fox Valley group, squadron, under that, they would not be allowed to use the building.
Correct.
Okay, I'm just trying to put,
They would not be able to use that room that we're talking about, or any room, yes.
Any of the rooms.
That is correct, absolutely.
okay. But School District 54 and other groups, obviously, who use it on a regular basis, could still, because they're government, we would still allow them to use it.
Can that
Trustee,
be?
If you're closing it down, no,
Yeah, right.
period.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
I know you're close to half of us that think so.
Well, then you have
Trustee Mills?
we have Pinewood Derbies in there, you have Blue
Yeah.
Scout, Blue Golds in there, they're non-for-profits that serve the village. We're really.
What about just having them put down a security deposit then?
Right.
And then as long as there's no problems, they could get it back.
So let me come back with the idea of a fee plus the security deposit where the fee comes out of. I'm probably going to base it upon the number of hours. So if it's 0 hours to this many hours, it's a certain amount and so forth. And we may have a higher deposit based upon number of people. We'll work that out and we'll come back to the committee.
Yeah, just to say, I was willing to keep it open. I just like higher fees, that's all.
Okay.
I'm okay with higher fees too, and make it a profit center.
Understood.
Okay. Moving on to item number 2, which is a request approval to direct staff to work with Spectra on language to amend the Sears Center Arena Management Agreement between the village and Spectra Venue Management to allow Spectra a non-exclusive right to conduct and program events at the Village Green.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any updates you want to provide us to give us some color to the request?
Yeah, we're going to start doing more programming at the Village Green. So if you guys recall from last summer, we put on some bands successfully, I thought. So taking that concept, we started talking in the off-season, how do we grow it into a more sustainable model? And then when the beer garden property presented itself, we put our heads together and figured out that with an F&B revenue source and a secondary stage, we could actually do more content that could pay for itself and probably turn a profit at the same time. So right now we're in the midst of designing and putting the finishing touches. We think we'll be open in April for the new concept on the beer garden property. So the name is To Be Determined, but it'll feature comfortable seating, regular live music, alcohol, beverages, food, that kind of stuff. So it's still kind of being designed, so it may change a little bit, but the core of it is just a dynamic event space. So, I've noticed over the years that more people like to host events at the Sears Center that are smaller in nature because we don't dovetailing to the, the comments over here about your guys' space, there's a need for more space within the village to host things. So we host a lot of things in our club room. It's not great at times, and when the weather's so nice, having an outdoor space to host events, whether they be for the public, whether they be private, I think there's a lot of demand for it. So one of the biggest changes you'll see based on what the space used to look like would be a smaller stage right in the seating area of what used to be the beer garden. So there actually will be performances in that area, obviously small regional bands. So that's really the long and the short of it currently. We will be installing different furniture as well. Not everyone likes to sit at communal German-style tables. And the menu will be more diverse, not so specific to Germany. So that's where we are right now.
Trustee Mills?
You got to keep the cheese spread, though.
The cheese spread has been mentioned several times to me. Wherever
Get
the
that
secret
recipe,
cheese spread
yeah.
is made, we will find it. Yeah, I mean, the menu, I'll be honest, has not been confirmed yet, but we know things were working. So I think it's taking what things people really enjoyed and making it a bit more of a flexible event space. Just like the arena is, we're able to do different things because it has the infrastructure. We're going to build more infrastructure, bring in more power, just allow us to kind of roll with the punches based on what people are looking for. Frankly, we hosted a couple pre-parties at the Village Green last summer. They were really successful, but the scalability was limited just because we didn't have a lot of space. I would tell you now that we can do much bigger pre-parties and post-parties that would help kind of extend the length of the events and obviously has a positive effect on revenue. So the space is great. I've always thought the Village Green is one of the best kept secrets. So I think bringing more infrastructure and comfort and frankly just broadening the appeal from just a German beer garden to more of a space you can hang out. And it's just something that's, I think, needed. I think we're going to try to make the parking a little bit more accessible than it is today. So that's in the midst of being planned. But yeah, when we tested it, there was a lot of great feedback just from the bands. We only did it, I think, 4 times in addition to the Thursday night concert. So I think it's just building more content. And eventually I think we'll develop fans of the Village Green, and that'll help kind of sustain all the things we want to do out there.
Okay, are you going to keep I forget what you call it, the other little facility you had out there with the container?
Oh, the craft canteen or
Craft
cantina,
canteen.
as everyone calls
Yeah.
it?
Ben's box.
Ben's box. Yeah, no, that'll stay out there. Again, similar to the concession stands at the Sears Center, based on the size of the event, sometimes just the concession building that's there today can, serve the crowd. As the events get bigger, as they do for Thursday night concerts, we'll open the craft canteen so it's more convenient to where the amphitheater is. So, that's the scalability I'm talking about, as the craft canteen can open when the crowd's at 3,000, and if it's a much smaller event, the building will suffice. So that will.
You would be open from every night, Wednesday through Sunday, it says in here.
The former property, the beer garden, would be open on a regular business hours.
Okay.
The craft canteen would open for special events where the crowd is
Okay.
larger and likely more positioned by the amphitheater.
Okay.
So it's like it's like concession stands.
Mm-hmm.
Crowd's so big, you have one. Crowd so big, you have two.
So it might not be up on top of the hill as it was. this
It'll stay
year's.
on top of the hill only because that's the closest to the amphitheater.
Okay.
So if we have a big crowd, that's more convenient for them. If it's a smaller band that may be playing closer in the actual seating area, that's the only thing. The beer garden building would be open.
Okay.
But you know what? We're going to learn a lot, and we may alter things as things go on. But that's the current plan.
Thank you.
Trustee Stan?
Why are we cutting out Mondays and Tuesdays as well?
Right now, the proposal is just to be open when we think we'll be the busiest, just to kind of limit the labor expense. If we see there's a demand to be open longer, that's an easy adjustment. But our research told us that was the least busy times. If you're there, obviously we'll be open, but everyone else. No, the idea was that we don't think it was overly busy during those times. So it's try to be more efficient.
The beer garden was open on Mondays and Tuesdays in the past?
Correct.
They were open from noon until 10 o'clock. But just from observation, those earlier afternoon hours were not well attended. If there was a sole proprietor who was going to be there anyways and his labor was essentially free, it made sense. But when you're paying staff, the volume of the business really did not warrant it.
Did you ever do counts as far as days, as far as what was busy, like between 4 and 10?
Yeah, I went out there. So based on what I found out is one of the reasons they were open during those times was food delivery. So food delivery, you can't kind of specify by time. It's usually a window. So we have a loading dock. We would accept all food at the arena's loading dock. But the reason the beer garden was open longer hours on Mondays and Tuesdays was because they were accepting the food product for the rest of the week. It wasn't necessarily because people were looking to buy food or drink. It was because they had to be open for Cisco delivery and the various beverage delivery. So it wasn't logistically needed for sales. It was logistically needed to be open to accept delivery. So we don't have that issue. We'll accept all deliveries at the arena and then truck them over. So, but again, if people on the social media are saying, you know, I stopped by, wasn't open, and we start getting kind of the inkling that maybe Mondays do have some demand, opening will not be difficult. The staff will be there for the season, so it's just a matter of what's most efficient.
Okay. Trustee Mills?
I know I probably don't have to mention this to you, of all people, about social media. The word out there is already that the beer garden's gone, so we really need to get that reversed quickly if we're going to have this endeavor out there.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing is we have a marketing plan already put together, so the website is fairly complete at this point. So the idea was after this meeting, we would launch the concept with the descriptions. Obviously, there's no pictures at this time because it's not done, but by April 1st, we would be ready to open if the weather permitted. Really, last year was in the high 30s, but by the end of April, it was at 80. So more than likely, we will post the new website in the next week. We will then start posting the social media, but pictures and real content of what the space is going to look like won't happen until April because everything won't be on site yet. So everything's going to happen in the next, I would say, 6 weeks. You know, we'll be what I call show ready. But yeah, I mean, we were expecting people would assume it's gone, but, you know, we have avenues to promote that it should be easy to kind of turn that tide.
Okay, good.
You know, one of the things that was mentioned during the budget meetings from Fred's IS team is how they were going to extend fiber from the arena up the median on the street. So it'd be great if we could take and run it out to the building so that at least we have some technology options or Wi-Fi or something in that area that, you know, they had hoped to do with the original concept. So if we could keep that in mind.
Yes, I've already had a discussion with IS and trying to make that happen.
Okay. And it sounds like you already have prospectively about 30 events lined up.
Yeah, so we've been working on content, whether it be regional bands, DJs, just kind of acoustic sets. So yeah, we have, I think it's 29 or 30 bands contracted at this point. So you'll have nearly 2 events a week that are live music. We may add more depending on the response. We're excited. I got to be honest, you know, the arena, we really start slowing down at the end of June. So I have about 2 months where my staff is trying to catch their breath. I will rob them of that now. So they'll be working. No. But no, there's a synergy because there are staff that oftentimes will have to be shipped off to other properties. That's not ideal for us, especially when we get busier in September. So I think this kind of uses the resources that we already have. I don't think there's a terrible, huge amount of risk in it. And just based on the designs we already put together, I think it's going to be really well received. It's going to be a unique space that I don't think there's anything comparable anywhere near here. So I just think quickly people realize, A, it's going to reopen, B, it's a different concept. And I think when those 2 things are out there, we'll start getting calls, and I think the traffic will be, I mean, the Thursday night concerts, we've seen that grow organically. This is going to be on steroids because we'll have a marketing budget behind it, and I just think the space will look so unique that we'll get a lot of visitors. So I'm excited for you guys to see it because I think it'll be far beyond what it was previously. And we've kind of taken inspirations from other outdoor drinking spaces all over the world. So there's new elements you've probably never seen before. So it should be fun. So, or you'll hate it, which either one, we'll see.
Trustee Mills, then I'll come back to the mayor.
With these groups that you're already working with, none of these would require an admission fee or anything like that?
These are all free.
It's all free concerts.
You know, in a sustaining model, we assume the F&B purchases will underwrite the cost of the bands, will leave us with some margin after we pay for labor. So we tested this last year, and there was a margin there. It was just with a third party also selling F&B, it made it much tighter. So if there's a sole entity selling all the F&B, that is all captured by the village and you can offset expenses. So if things work out, the busier and the more content we bring to the Village Green, the more money you can make, in theory. So we'll test a bunch of different genres based on this summer, alter the lineup for next year, as the kind of crowd tells us what they're interested in. But yeah, it'll be exciting. I mean, we'll change the menu kind of as the season goes on based on what people are saying, but it's going to be summer cocktails, it'll be craft beer, there will be some German beer pours, but just different fun, light things you would want to drink outside in the summer.
And your shows will not interfere with the Arts Commission's
Correct.
regular
Yeah. So
events?
Arts Commission will be on Thursday. Ours would be on Friday. We did ours on Wednesday last year, but we're thinking Fridays we can attract even bigger crowd. And then it complements the July 4th celebration. It complements Platts. Really anything else. It's for the first time, everything happening at the Village Green will fall under one umbrella of promotion. So we'll actually generate fans who will then support the other events we have. Because Platts gets a huge crowd, but I don't know if they know about July 4th. July 4th gets a huge crowd on fireworks. I don't know if they know about Platts. So it's trying to kind of connect the dots, and people kind of say, oh, yeah, I know what's happening at that property. There's a whole lineup.
Okay.
So it should do well.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Mayor?
Yeah, you did mention parking. I
Mhm.
know we got the Lakota study going on and looking at that whole area there. What's your theory on more parking?
So right now, the west lot for the Sears Center is the closest to the Village Green. It's right across the street. Just by design, it's a little awkward to get to the sidewalk once you're in the west lot. The sidewalk's very narrow, and it's a 90-degree left turn to find it. So one quick and easy and inexpensive idea was, as you get to the northeast corner, right now it's scrub brush, and you kind of have to walk around to find the sidewalk. We would flatten the area in the corner. The whole corner for about 25 feet we flattened and put into concrete. So the corner is all not the crosswalk, but the whole corner allows you to get to the corner and to the crosswalk. So visibly you could see how I cross the street. I don't know if you guys park at the west lot ever, but the scrub brush divides the west lot from Prairie Stone, and it's not obvious how you get over there. So the idea would create a very large, obvious passage so people park, and we'd have better signage up, but people park and immediately know I'm going in that direction, and that's how I get across the street. So it's subtle, but it's just things we've noticed over the years that the sidewalk access is not as obvious as it could be.
I think based on the success of the parallel parking on Prairie Stone Parkway last year, there were a couple cars the first night and a dozen cars the second night, and then the third night they were even beyond the cones because it was quite popular. So I think we would do that again and see if that could, how we might even be able to expand that. So that's another idea.
Mark and I talked about Ben's idea on the northeast corner of the parking lot today, and I agreed that we would go ahead and ask Public Works to do what was necessary in the setback there and to do that. So
The Midway?
we can't, no, you're not dealing with the Midway. You're not going to cross the median. It's basically just the parking lot setback to the sidewalk. That will be leveled, and there's a tree that's frankly half dead based upon the pictures. That will be removed, and then we'll may end up putting chips in for this year, but ultimately it could be paved.
Yeah, I mean, the west lot was designed initially to push people toward the Sears Center, not toward Prairie Stone or the Village Green. So it's just trying to create more access points. So I think it'll be subtle but effective because everyone seems to want to walk toward the arena, not
Just
north.
getting the brush and the tree that blocks the visibility out
Yes.
of the way will direct people more towards that route.
Which will help for July 4th and Platts and everything else, because I think people would prefer to park in the west lot than over in Tate Lyle, take the kind of surreptitious route through the lake.
I think, I'm sorry, go ahead, Corporate Counsel.
We've had some discussions here, and I've heard the word of profit a few times, but I think it's appropriate to let at least the public know that this is not a profit-making venture. What you discuss as profit are excess funds that are then used to pay other expenses that we have with the arena, et cetera.
Correct.
I just want to make sure it's clear that when anybody hears that word, we're not a profit-making organization here, and those funds just go back into providing public service.
That's a great segue into what I was going to say. having done the summer concerts with that group for, 20 plus years, the base of, membership of people that come out there now is somewhere close to 1,000. We could grab a couple of guitars and people are going to show up. They might not stay.
Yeah.
But you'll get about 1,000 people. So we'll be able to capture now all of those revenues that prior to this we never had a chance to capture. And that's a significant amount of money. I won't call it profit because of what Art just said, but it's a significant amount of money that circulates, back into some of the things that we've done. And actually, it gets us, for those of us that went to the Lakota demonstration and walkthrough, it actually gets us close to some of the things that study provided, driven by staff, as well as the ad hoc committee, for that area. So I think we're getting closer. And then, those extra funds, as Art just mentioned, could cycle through and do even more, and get us to a place where it's actually the composite center of that area. And that's got to become so popular, people are going to want to live out there in residential, which is your committee. Nevertheless, that'll be fun for a later date. But so corporate counsel, after this, then the lawyers engage. Is that right, Mr. Norris? You guys are.
It would be my understanding, and the way it normally works, is after the actual provisions of the deal are put together, put in a draft form, that before it comes to the board, the village would review it, because this would be an amendment to the existing village global spectrum agreement, which is in existence. And usually we're trying to, I know Mark Copland has made a great effort on it, we still might be working on it, is trying to get all of our amendments in one document. So when the document does come before this board, we would hope you would see where it fits into our existing contract.
We will talk with Spectra Council in Philadelphia and figure out where to put it in the agreement and then to agree on some language. But that'll come back to the board hopefully next month.
Fantastic. Anything else from up here? All right. We have a motion and a second. Okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Moving on to the information-only reports. The first up is the Finance Department monthly report. Any questions or comments? All right. That report will be accepted and filed. Information Systems Department monthly report. Any questions, comments? We will receive and accept that report. Sear Center monthly report. Any questions, comments? You know what he's doing outside for the summer. So, any updates you want to? You're already there.
Yeah, I'm here. We had a good January. We had the monster truck, new promoter with monster truck, who proceeded to triple the sales of previous monster trucks. So we don't know what the secret is. It sounds like putting Hot Wheels in front of the word monster truck seemed to make a big difference. So you'll be seeing Hot Wheels bull riding and Hot Wheels Toby Mac and all Hot Wheels Beer Garden. No, it was a new promoter. We took a chance, but they're local. We've had great luck with local promoters, so they blew it out of the water. So that was an excellent January for us. We'll be finishing the annual report this year, so you'll be seeing our numbers from last year. But we had a record-breaking event revenue last year. We exceeded $2.4 million for the first time ever, so that was exciting. Due to some massive events, so I don't know if you guys remember All In, the independent wrestling event. It sold over 10,000 tickets, sold out in, 14 minutes or something like that. Crashed the website for the first time. And USA Volleyball and country concerts and all that. So you'll be getting an annual report regarding that, but it was a very, very solid year. So obviously the challenge is to build on that and beat that this year, so that should be exciting. And we're working on some exciting things. Hopefully some of the things that we did so well with last year will come back. It's one of the always challenges is not everything is an annual piece of business. So, if it makes $250,000 one year, it may not come back the next, so you got to make that up. But it was an excellent year, so we'll be obviously distributing the annual report shortly. But that's really it. No, I mean, a lot of irons in the fire at this point.
Trustee Stanton?
Was CERC going to come back again this year or not?
Yes. I'm sorry, not this 2019?
2020?
Yes.
Okay.
Confidentially, just people watching this and at home. Yes. I mean, CERC will, yeah, CERC will be back.
Okay.
All 12,000 viewers.
Yeah, so CERC's an excellent piece of business, so obviously not annualized, but they do come semi-regularly. So that'll be good to have back. But yeah, no, it's been good, and January was good to us, so it's just keeping the momentum going. We will have Toby Mac this in 2 weeks. Toby Mac's on pace to sell out. That'll be his first sellout in 6 visits with us. So it'll be his largest paid audience ever and his largest box office gross ever. So super impressive given how many times he's been to the building. And Hillsong United is in the summer, another religious outfit. They will also likely go clean, over 9,000. So all good events on the horizon at this point.
On a Monday.
Yes, Monday in the summer, yeah, they can get away with that. And, USA Volleyball's back, so a lot of good, strong content. Just got to fill in the fourth quarter at this point.
On that note, there were two other items I just wanted to highlight for the committee. One, Mark, you wrote in your owner's rep about a $140,000 number. Do you want to give a little color on that, please?
So that would be the second best year since the village took over and hired Spectre to run the arena. So that's really good. 140, actually, if you back out a couple of the revenues or put back in the revenues from a couple other things, it actually is more like $215,000 better than budget. So it was a really quite an excellent year based on for the reasons that Ben mentioned.
And that doesn't count food and beverage or entertainment tax, right?
No, that's all on top of that.
So when people ask if the arena is profitable, that's usually the first answer is just pure operational.
If you put all those revenues in, we are definitely in the black.
Right.
And have been.
Yeah, I think we did about $5 million in ticket sales this past year. So that's an excellent number for us. I mean, that's not a record, but that's certainly up there. But yeah, I mean, all the taxes relating to the revenue streams just go back into that. So yeah, it was a solid year. There's no question. And nothing unique that we couldn't repeat. It wasn't like one of those years, oh my God, all things fell into line. It's just, good events that sold tickets and we kept the expenses down. And frankly, as the building ages, we've done a nice job doing preventive maintenance. So we haven't had these massive repairs because things were neglected. So we're getting more and more aggressive with preventive maintenance to make sure things are just kind of aging out like they should. But so far, knock on wood.
Just like to emphasize this for the intern geniuses at the Illinois Institute that wrote that great article, so we can highlight how wrong they were. But nevertheless, the second thing was we had a meeting, the mayor and I attended, as well as Jim and Mark and some staff and Ben, about today. We have Pacquiolin for the ticket system, and we were encouraged to consider actually doing an RFP to bring back in Ticketmaster to, see what their offerings could be. So I'd like to put that on the March Finance Committee agenda for discussion, because Pacquiolin has divested themselves from Spectra's umbrella. So there's really not the joining there that we originally had when we brought them in. Because you remember when Mad Cat Step owned the building, they had Ticketmaster, so we went away from them purposely. But maybe this would help us also there's some belief that it could help with Live Nation. It wouldn't hurt. But nevertheless, I wanted to throw that update out there. So other than that, we will receive and file the Sears Center monthly report. President's report.
Yeah, just a couple things, a couple of questions for staff. Did Evans Realty ever pick up the permit for the Bergman House?
They have not as of yet, and they were reminded again today.
And many people's favorite building, the old Marathon gas station at Higgins and Glen Lake. Anything new on that?
I keep waiting for him to say he's open. I mean, He's got some, needs a final inspection, but to our knowledge, it doesn't look like he's, unless he's doing a lot of work on the inside that's being redone or something, we don't know why he hasn't asked for an occupancy and come in to be open yet. We'll reach out again. I know Peter did 45 days ago or so, maybe.
These both will come up on Wednesday morning, so I have the latest information.
I mean, he's got the lights on there every night,
I know.
and it actually looks pretty nice.
Yeah, it does look very nice.
Isn't it, what does it still, the sign still say coming soon?
Coming soon.
I'm imagining the possibilities.
So is Haley's comment. Say. Anything else, Mayor?
That's all I have.
All right, we have nothing else in other, no items in review. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to call the Public Work and Utility Committee to order for February 25th, 2019. May I have a roll call, please?
Chairperson Newell,
Present.
Vice Chairperson Gata,
Present.
Trustee Palafis,
Present.
Trustee Mills,
Present.
Trustee Stanton,
Present.
Trustee Arnett,
Present.
Mayor McLeod.
Present.
Okay, everybody accounted for, and we have a quorum. The next item would be the approval of minutes from January 28, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any corrections, additions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
No nays, motion passed. Under new business, we have 5 items. Item number 1 is request approval for the Historical Sites Commission to proceed with 2019 budgeted activities and events in an amount not to exceed $800.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, any questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
No nays, motion passed. Item number 2, request authorization to waive bidding and award contract for Village Hall HVAC automation system upgrade to Automated Logic Chicago out of Lisle, Illinois, in an amount not to exceed $36,555.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Do we have anything to add on that or anything? None?
Not really, just upgrading the building to what the other systems in the building currently are.
Okay. All righty, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
No nays, motion passed. Item number 3, request authorization to extend 2017 contracts for 2019 season Parkway Tree Planning Program, which are the low bids, to A, Acres Group out of Wakanda, Illinois, and B, St. Aubin Nursery out of Kirkland, Illinois, in a total amount not to exceed $119,750.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Trustee Palafis?
Any additional funds in any way needed from, like, the high winds of the past few days for any of our trees? I saw a number in, like, the medians blown over.
I got very little reports. I had one report yesterday on a tree off of Beverly Road that we had our on-call guy have to come in and take down. Outside of that, I really didn't get anything from our forester that we had a massive number. If we would have had those winds in the summer, spring, or fall when the leaves are on the trees, it would have been a completely different story. So we lucked out that the winds came when the trees have no leaves. So the wind load is significantly less.
Fantastic. That was all.
Okay, seeing no other questions, we have motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
No nays, motion passed. Item number 4, request authorization to close the existing contract and approve proposed new contract for engineering services for rehabilitation of Chippendale Sanitary Sewer Lift Station with Baxter and Woodman Engineers, Crystal Lake, Illinois, in an amount not to exceed $56,300.
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Anything to add?
No.
They're new
No.
species. They're disease resistant.
So we have a motion and a second.
Yeah,
All
they've
in
been doing it
favor?
for some time.
Aye.
No nays, motion passed. Item number 5, request authorization to waive bidding and purchase 2 new Crysteel stainless steel select dump bodies, Monroe underbody plow, Monroe spreader box, pre-wet system, controls and fabrication installation using Sourcewell contract discount from Monroe Truck Equipment out of Monroe, Wisconsin, in an amount not to exceed $158,640.
So moved.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. Oh, I'm losing my voice.
You're sitting too close to him.
Contagious down there.
Over there.
Over here.
Excuse me.
He said he wasn't contagious.
Just kidding.
All of a
Brings a
sudden,
whole
I'm
new
like,
meaning to social distancing.
It does. It does.
okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. No nays, motion passed. Reports under information only. Item 1 is Department of Public Works monthly report. Anything to add? Nothing?
I just want to add one thing about the trees, actually two things. The storm we had at the beginning of winter, you all recall, where we had a lot of branches and trees come down across the roads. That took care of a lot of the weaker, trees and limbs that were around. So if we wouldn't have had that, we may have had more damage from the winds that we had yesterday. The other thing, I was talking to our forester today about the item about why we still pick 2 nurseries to get nursery stock from, because the stock now for the towns that waited as long as they did to address EAB, they're putting saplings in the size of your thumb, because that's really a lot of the nurseries all they can get. So the board did a great thing by acting quickly and getting ahead of that curve for the stock in the area, and we're able to replace the vast majority of our trees before the big rush to get all those trees actually happened. So just wanted to make that comment.
Oh, thank you.
That's it.
Hey, Joe, I know the mayor brought up a couple weeks ago the water that turns into ice on Huntington between Mudhank and Algonquin is now covering like 2/3 of what would be the southbound lane, which is, I think it's dangerous, even though I have a 4-wheel drive.
Ice, yeah, ice.
Ice is ice.
You have 6-wheel drive,
Yeah,
it's
right.
ice. Yeah.
I remember you saying you were going to look into that because there was some thought, was it coming from our spot, leading up to that hill that, once you start going down? Or is that South Barrington, or is it county, or who?
So today, on the way to work, the county was there. And it is the county. So between Algonquin and Montague is the county, and this is all occurring on the west side southbound lane. And they were there, and they were salting, and they were sanding, and they were scraping, and they were everything. And they had a majority of it removed till as you crested the hill and were starting to go down, and then you could see that they were going to move down and do the next part. Our water main is on the west side. Excuse me, that's what I meant. The east-west side.
The other west.
East side, the other west. The east side, and where we've had issues in the past, it was all south of Montague. So what you're seeing there is leachate and/or spring water. So when leachate is liquid that may come from an old landfill. So that's in the area of the old landfill. And when you have a freeze-thaw going on and the pressure of that freeze occurs, it can force water out in extra capacities, or any liquid out in extra capacities, wherever there's fissures or surface cracks or anything. And that's what's going on there. That's what you're getting.
So given the landfills in South Barrington, or the previous landfill, we'll call it a landfill.
The old landfill property.
The old landfill property, which causes a hardship on everybody but them. What do we do? How do we fix it?
It's outside of South Barrington's regulatory jurisdiction because it's a Subtitle D related landfill, I'm sure. It may not have been compliant at the time, but it would be an EPA issue. But the maintenance is the county's. So we would have to, and which way I know we have, constantly call and complain to the county, and the county is not as diligent about that type of thing as others are. So we'll keep doing it.
And then, I'm sorry, were you
ahead.
going to say something?
I just know we get a lot of, when you have the freeze thaws and what we had a number of days where you had warmer temperatures and a lot of the snow melt. and then we had the cold drop over the weekend. That's when you see a lot of we call them ice flows. We do have some around town where we have stormwater issues or sump pump discharges, or it's just the natural way that the stormwater flows through the area. We'll respond to ice flows that end up in roadways or on cul-de-sacs, and we'll have to scrape the ice up and salt it down. So I'm not saying there's nothing that can be done. If, the county or somebody wanted to take an engineering study and go in there and install a bunch of a storm system, would probably take care of it, but it seems like it's an issue a few times a year. I don't know if they would do that for that.
And then on top of your comment about the first storm and the cleanup you did is fantastic. And what it's done for the people that I do a lot of life with up in my area of the neighborhood is it's really highlighted the communities that haven't in their opinions. So if you drive down Palatine Road in Inverness or, through Palatine or even South Barrington, some areas, there's a lot of wood, or broken trees that are still like kind of hanging on that haven't completely fallen yet in those parkways that cause people a lot of notice. Mm-hmm. So I guess, it's good that we raised the bar in our own area, but it's also highlighted some of the others that haven't. I don't even know if some of those communities have a public works group like we did, or if they have to outsource or whatnot. So anyway, kudos to you guys, for getting on top of that.
Trustee Stanton?
This is related to the Bodie water line that they're working on. I noticed that they cut across Gannon today.
Gannon today, yeah.
Yeah, how far are they going to go west, Joe?
That they're stopping right there.
Okay.
That they're just crossing the road. We're putting a new valve in so that they can pressure test against a new valve, and that's it. They just had to go across Gannon, and that'll be it. So they're wrapping up that section. There might be a little, if they finish that Friday. I know they saw cut Gannon on Friday, and then they were out there today digging it out and doing the valve work today. So
they must have finished because they already put in asphalt so that we could go over it.
Yeah, that section, and we were concerned that if they went across Gannon, they at least keep one lane open so that we could continue to have traffic and obviously emergency vehicles. And we made sure that happened, which it did today when they were doing it.
Well, no, it didn't.
Oh, okay.
They actually blocked off the
entire road.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
at least for a period of time.
Okay.
By the time I got back, they were done.
Okay. But they should be done with all the Gannon work, and then they cold patched it, and we're going to just keep an eye on the cold patch to see if it settles any, interferes with our plows when they're out. So we'll keep on that, but that's as far west as they were going to go.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay, seeing no other questions or comments, the monthly report is going to be received and filed. Item number 2 is Department of Development Services Monthly Engineering Report of the Transportation and Engineering Division. Do we have anything to add to that one?
Nothing.
Okay, so that report will be received and filed also. President's report, sir?
Nothing else, Chairperson Newell.
Okay, we have nothing else. Nothing under other or items in review. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
No nays, motion passed. We're adjourned.
Yes, sir. I'm going to call to order Trustee Gata's Public Health and Safety Committee because he sounds like Wolfman Jack. You're all probably too young to remember him, but we'll preserve his voice a little bit. Could I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Gata.
Present.
Vice Chairman Palafis.
Present.
Trustee Newell.
Present.
Trustee Mills.
Present.
Trustee Stanton.
Present.
Trustee Arnett. Present. Mayor McLeod.
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum. Entertain a motion and a second for the approval of minutes from January 28, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions, comments? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. 2 items under new business. The first is a request approval of an ordinance declaring 37 pairs of turnout pants and 46 turnout coats as surplus and authorize the sale and disposal of this equipment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Chief, you want to add anything?
Nothing, but this is just our structural turnout here that reaches end of life, and we're just looking to, get it out.
All right, thank you. Having no other questions or comments, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item number 2 is a request authorization to award the 2019 contract for fire department uniforms to Today's Uniform, Crystal Lake, Illinois, in an amount not to exceed the current 2019 budgeted amount of $42,000.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions, comments? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. 4 reports, information only. The first is Police Department Monthly Report. Any questions, comments? That will be received and filed. Item number 2 is Health and Human Services Monthly Report. Any questions or comments? All in favor, I'm sorry, all in favor? That'll be filed. Number 3 is Emergency Management Coordinator Monthly Report. Any comments, questions? That will be received and filed. Number 4 is the Fire Department Monthly Report. Having no questions or comments, that will be received and filed as well. And President's Report?
Nothing
Anything?
else, Chairperson Plums.
Thank you, sir. Nothing in other. No items in review. We'll entertain a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Have a good night.